With this video, I'm hoping to answer the question, how often should you change your 3D printer heat break tube? So I did a search online a few months ago about, how often should you replace it, and I didn't really find any articles about it. So I'm going to give you my experience after printing for over a year now, about a year and 3 months. So I'm printing these Star Wars coins from my Etsy store. You can find a link in the description. And so they come in different colors. So this is the gold version. And I was printing a silver version last night, and when I was finishing up, you can see that the extruder stopped extruding and it didn't finish up the print. The top is supposed to look like this, and it's flat because no more filament came out. So as usual, I didn't figure it was the heat break tube, which I probably should have by this time, but I thought it was a problem with the filament. So I tried cleaning the head. I used my cleaning filament, which I'll show you in a minute, and various things. And when I first started, after I cleaned it out, I tried running some more filament through it, and it went through pretty well, but I could tell it wasn't feeding fast enough if it was extruding properly. And then I got all jammed up, and I had to, this little blob of filament was stuck in between the rollers and the print head motor. I had to pry it out with this thing. It's warm up there, but it's not, molten. So the motor kept trying to push filament through the extruder, and it was backing up, and it made a big blob and jammed up the work. So anyway, so we're going to change the print head tube, which I've done, I don't know, 4 or 5 times now. And by the end of this video, we'll see how often you should do it based on how much I'm printing. So I want to try to save these coins. So luckily, they're still adhering really well to the print bed, even though it's been off overnight. So they've been sitting here in the cold garage for overnight, but they're still adhering. So to take the print head off so I can replace the heat break tube, normally I place the printer on its back. So I'm going to do that today and hope that these don't come off. If they do, then this print is lost and I'm out all this material. But hopefully they'll stay on here and I can finish the print up. Now you can see that some of the details on the top actually started printing. But when we get to restarting, I'll go more about how we can recover a print like this. So the first step, I could replace the print head with the printer on its feet, but it's really difficult to get it in under here with your with this thing and get those pieces off. So well, anyway, I may put it on its back, or I may leave it on its feet just to help have a better chance of saving this print. So we'll try it with it on its feet. It's a little harder to see what I'm doing, but I think I'll do it that way because I have a better chance of these not falling off if I don't put it on its back. All right, so we'll get set up for that, and then we'll replace the heat break tube and see if we can recover this print. All right, so step 1 is to get the print bed out of the way. Turn it down to the bottom. First step is to take off the little plenum here that directs air to the print head, to the nozzle, so that it cools it off as it comes out. So I got to take that off first. This is the 3mm Allen wrench that comes with the printer. That does most things. Okay. Make sure you don't lose the screw. Make sure you don't lose the screw. So I just stick it back in the plenum. So we got that one off. Now there's 2 other screws to come off. One is on this side. This one you can see from below. So we unscrew this one. So I caught that one. That's good. And there's one kind of embedded up in the cage that goes around the print head, but you can get it by feel. Unscrew that. Catch that one. I caught that one. Alright, now our print head can come off. There's our silicone gasket, so we can get that off. Okay, so now we can get up on top here. So now we're going to disconnect the wires to the printer motor so we can get it up on a tray, and we'll be able to work on this safely. So, all right, I'll get that set up and then we'll see the next step. All right, so like I said, we're going to pull this up and disconnect the motor cable, and then so we're going to disconnect this one too, I think. Let's see. I think that's good enough. Yeah, it can sit like this now. So with this motor cable connected, you can't easily get it up on top of this metal tray because this is going to get hot. So, and of course the heater wires are still connected. So we can take off our silicone sleeve and see how it's doing. It's holding up pretty well. So when I bought this, they come in a 3-pack. And if we look at the print head, the nozzle, the print head looks pretty good. We can take our wire brush. This is our stainless steel brush, and brush off some of this residual stuff. Nozzle looks like it's in good shape. Nozzle, we're normally just hitting it with this brass brush after cleaning the nozzle out, just getting residual filament that's stuck on the end here. So this is the Micro Swiss nozzle that's pretty popular. It's nickel plated brass. So I think it needs to be slightly hotter than a true brass nozzle because it has a nickel plating, but it seems to be holding up pretty well, so I'm going to stick with it. So. And this silicone sleeve has been superior to using the Capon tape and the insulation. So I'd definitely recommend this. After as an earlier video, I show how I installed this for the first time, and it's been holding up well for a few months. So, and eventually it'll probably deteriorate, but then they don't cost very much. You can replace it. So it fits well for this MK10 head, which is what the FlashForge Dreamer NX has. So, all right, so now we got to heat this thing up to 240, and then we'll be able to take it off and get the old tube out. So while we're ready to heat up, I get all my tools ready. So this is a 9mm wrench or socket. Those pliers to get out the other tube, and this adjustable wrench so that we can put it on the print head so it doesn't rotate while we're taking the nozzle off. The thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a new heat break tube section. So here's one of the original heat break tubes replacement tubes that came with the printer. So I keep that as a guide for how long this is supposed to be. This is one I use in the top of the print head. You've seen in my other videos to help prevent erosion of the print head and keep it going more upright into the printer. So what I'm going to do is, this is Teflon, so it's very slippery, and it doesn't handle markers very well. So I'm gonna score the tube using this X-Acto knife that came with the printer. So I'm scoring the tube where I want to cut it, and then I can use the tubing cutter that came with my replacement tubing. If I can find that mark I just made, it's up here, yeah. Then I can place the cutter right on that mark and snap it. There's my new tube. Try to straighten it out a little bit. It's going to, well, it needs to go in there straight. So, all right, so that's our replacement tube. Now it's heated up to 240 now, so we can go ahead and remove the nozzle. So we're going to put our adjustable wrench on here, tighten it up. Obviously you have to be careful. This is 240 degrees Celsius, so it's going to burn you really badly if you touch it. So make sure this is on release. Yeah, this is on open. So then you can put your socket wrench on here and loosen up the nozzle. Usually it comes off pretty easily. Main thing is you don't want to drop the hot nozzle on the printer. So this is rotating a little bit, which means okay, there we go. Alright, so we'll try to keep it as upright as we can. Alright, so it's coming off. And see if we can, it'll stay with the socket maybe. There, it stayed with the socket, so get that out using our needle nose pliers. There, let's let that cool off. There's our heat break tube. And there's a lot of blobby stuff down in there. I'll get it out and we can take a look at it. So you want to definitely remove this when it's hot, otherwise it's very difficult to get out. Yeah, so the end is all clogged up and it's pretty burned, so it's definitely time to replace it. So now the trick is you got to turn off the heating, wait till it cools down all the way so you can insert the new tube safely, and start the nozzle threads with everything cool. So you get it finger tight when it's all cool, then you heat it up again, then you finish off tightening it using the socket wrench. Takes a little extra time, but it's a lot safer. So we turn off the heating, put this aside. So we can see this is definitely our problem. So if your extruder stops extruding, number one thing to think of is it's probably my heat break tube. Even though it's a little bit of a pain to replace it, but you have this procedure down like this, it doesn't really take that long. So I'm going to be doing it proactively going forward. I'll talk about more about that at the end of the video. Alright, so while it cools down, we can use the status on the front of the printer to see what the temperature is. When it gets down to about room temperature, we'll go ahead and replace the tube.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Post a comment if you have any questions or ideas, and I'll try to respond. That's all for now, but more videos are coming, and if you want to see them, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification icon if you don't want to miss one. This is Beta Cygni signing out, and keep looking up.